Is everybody started? It looks like everybody's starting. So whatever that means to you, draw your environment. So this is usually where I would like walk around the class and see how folks are doing, how their drawing is going. So it looks like folks are working on it. And if there's anybody who doesn't have their video on and is an adult and wants to participate too, you can. All right. For my younger students, how are your drawings coming along? We have about, so there's a thumbs up, there's a thumbs down. How is your drawing coming? How about another 4 minutes? Does that work? Thank you. All right, so another 2.5 minutes. Are folks gonna be done with their drawing by then? Looks like we got a few wrapping up. All right, let's put the last pieces of your drawing together. Get them on the page. Does anybody need more time? It looks like some students are good. Some students don't need any more time. Okay, we'll do 1 more minute. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's do this. Can everybody give me a thumbs up when they're ready? All right, see most folks with their thumb up. Looks like we have 2 others still going. Okay. Okay, good. It looks okay, good. It looks like we're all set then. So let's do this. I'm gonna ask some questions about your drawings, and they're gonna be mostly yes or no questions. So if you have it, or if you want to say yes, put your thumb up. We can either do that through Zoom or we can just do it in person like this. Okay. Well, here, let me do this. Can I get everybody to hold up their drawing first so I can take a quick look at what people have? And hold it up to the cam so I can see it pretty well. Okay, nice. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So who drew a place that they've been to? Thumbs up if you drew a place that you've actually been to. Okay. Thumbs down. Did anybody draw a place that was just from their imagination? Good. So we had a few people or a few students draw a place from their imagination. Good. Okay. Did anybody draw any buildings? Can I see if you had a building? Can I see your drawing? Okay, nice. Okay. How about did anybody draw any trees? A few. Okay, good. How about any water? Okay, good. Lots of waters. How about any animals? Okay, a few. Good. I see them. Thank you. Did anybody draw their room or their house? Can I see the pictures that drew their house? Oh, there you go. There's some good ones. Thank you. Okay. Now, is it okay for folks if I want to open up the floor and let people share out what they drew very quickly? Does that work? Would anybody like to share out and just talk about your picture? Anybody? I like this picture in the bottom. Do you want to unmute and talk about your picture? Anybody else? Do you want to share?
Um,
Great, thank you.
Mine is just the Hillside Park, and then just a few houses.
Oh, can you hold it up though so everybody can see?
Right here, right here.
Okay, nice. Oh, I saw something in there. I'll ask about it later though.
What'd you see?
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share? Do you want to share yours, Igor?
I'll unmute. This is a view out of my window as I'm sitting here with you guys. The trees and bushes, and I put me out there in there. And there's some sky and a cloud.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Share out?
I'll share. I just drew the earth. I went macro with it, and I put some people in there and a couple fish. It's representative.
Good. Thank you. I've seen variations of that drawing. Okay, Joaquin and Javier.
I just drew my backyard.
I like it.
That's the neighbor's house. That's our neighbor's house, and then that's like a skunk right there.
Great. Okay, anybody else?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for sharing. So I have one last question about your drawings. Give me a thumbs up if you drew people in your drawing. We got some thumbs up, which is great. So we have a few thumbs down, which I get. And I asked that question because there's another one. Thank you. I asked that question because oftentimes when people think about the environment, they think that people are separate from it. And I want everyone here to know that we're actually very much a part of our environment and that we're interconnected with it and we're intertwined with it. And the choices that you and I make every day makes a difference. So whether your environment starts, I would argue, we could say it starts in your bedroom, it starts at your front door and goes out. All your drawings are correct and all your drawings work, whether it's someplace you go to, whether it's someplace in your mind, whether you drew the whole earth, which I've seen lots of people do, those are all our environments. Does that make sense? Nod your head if that makes sense. Okay, good. Are there any questions about that? Okay. I'm going to go into a brief explanation of more of what we were talking about. Okay. So has anybody here heard of the term watershed? Thumbs up. So there's some thumbs up. There's some no's. Okay, some sort of. Okay, that's all okay. So we're going to talk about a watershed today. Does anybody have any ideas of what a watershed might be? I know it's up on the screen, so that's probably makes it a lot easier. But let me ask this question then. Who here lives in a watershed? Raise your hand. So I see some up, some down. Okay, that's fair. I'm going to ask that question again later, and I want to see where we're at with folks. So I did a quick Google search for watershed. These are the images that came up. Can everybody see them? And so my definition is at the bottom. If I define a watershed as a large area of land where all its water drains into a common body of water. So let's think about that. A large area of land where all its water drains into a common body of water. So a watershed is sort of a container. It's sort of the container of our lives. And so if we can imagine for a second, let's have folks imagine. Usually it helps by closing your eyes. And I'm gonna talk about what a watershed is. So if we can get folks to imagine by closing their eyes. And so imagine it's raining and you see the hills off in the distance. And you can imagine those drops of water hitting the tops of the ridges. And then the water flows down the hillside. It flows into the street. It passes by my house. It passes by Igor's house. It passes by the places you hang out and the places you like to play. Passes by where your parents work. And during that whole journey, all the sort of environmental choices that we make every day, whether that's to pollute or not polluting, whether that's using pesticides or not using pesticides, all those choices end up in that water. And then that water travels down the gutter, it travels into the storm drain. Does anybody know? Here, let's open our eyes. Thank you. Does anybody know where that water goes once it goes down the storm drain? The storm drain are the grates. So I see hands up. Thank you for raising your hands. I'll unmute you. Okay.
It goes to the ocean.
Where does it go before it goes to the ocean? Especially here living in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Rivers?
Good. We have a few big rivers in California, but a lot of our main waterways from the storm drains are smaller creeks. So from the storm drain, it goes into the creek. And then where does it go after the creek? Any ideas? So the water flows down the streets, into the storm drain. Thank you for raising your hand, Karina. Go ahead. I'm trying to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Creeks and then the bay.
Right. And then after the bay, where does it go, everybody?
Ocean.
Good. Okay. So everyone is understanding how our water flows for the most part, so that's great. And so that's part of our watershed. So let me ask again, if a watershed is a large area of land where all the water from it drains into a common body of water, raise your hand if you live in a watershed. There you go. All right, I should see everybody's hands up. We all live in a watershed. So the water connects us, the watershed connects us, and our planet connects us. So I have two questions up here, and I'll help you through them too. First one is pretty straightforward. Does anybody have a guess of how much of our planet is covered in water? Is there an answer being written? Nice, good. So yes, the planet is covered by, the majority of it is covered by waters, like 71%, good job. So I will argue that our planet should be called Planet Water. Folks agree with that? Wow, see? I'll get the petition started, thank you. Okay, then thinking about watersheds, remember our working definition. Do you have a question, Karina? Your hand is raised. It's okay. Okay. So question number 2, how many watersheds are there really? So remember our definition, a large area of water, or sorry, a large area of land where all the water from it drains into a common body of water. How many watersheds are there really? Maybe use the poster as maybe a hint. It's sort of a tricky question, I know. How about anybody want to take a guess? Oh, we have, let me try to call on some of our younger folks first, if that's okay. All right, how many watersheds are there? They're conferring. How many? What's your guess? Here, let's do this. Let's have some fun. How about everybody unmute themselves very quickly? And on the count of 3, everybody will yell out their answer. Okay, looks like everybody's unmuted. Okay, on the count of 3. So how many watersheds are there really?
1.
1, 2, 3.
154.
1.
Oh, I think I heard it at the end. Who said that at the end? Did somebody say 1 at the end?
Lisa.
Ah, okay, good. So yeah, so if we think about it, there's actually only one watershed. All the water from all our continents drain into one ocean. It's a tricky one, I know, and I'll leave that with you to think about it more. But so this one watershed, this is what connects all of us together.
The Volga River doesn't drain into the ocean, it drains into the ocean.
Okay.
It's not connected to the ocean.
So I have this quote up from John Muir that's showing how we're interconnected to everything else on our planet. One thing that affects us will affect other folks as well. So we're in this together. Oops, sorry. And here are some images of other folks celebrating Earth Day around the world. One's from Tokyo and one's from Mexico. So in the same way that we're celebrating, folks celebrate in other places. This shows how we're connected as well. I like to include them because we're actually connected by our ocean currents to Mexico and to Japan. And this is for some of our elder folks thinking about their planets. And this something I believe strongly and deeply is that we don't inherit the planet from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children. And so it's very cool to have all of you on the call right now learning about our environments, learning how to take better care of it, because one day this will all be yours to take care of. And we're doing this Zoom conference because of the virus and what's happening, right? So we're in our homes, but I don't know if folks have seen some of these articles of animals moving throughout Yosemite. There's a picture of a deer in Japan that's walking down the street. There were some elephants that had some wine to drink from, I forget where that was now. They're showing the water getting more clear in Venice. And all of this is because, people are stuck at home. And while I enjoy these stories, it reminds me of something else though. It reminds me that we're all connected in this, and that the animals, we haven't done the best job in taking care of their habitat. Some places we've lessened their habitat, we've developed into their habitat. So this for me is a reminder that we need to take better care of their habitat and think about how we can make more habitat for them. And I know lots of people talk about sustainability, and that's a word that means a lot to different folks. But for me, sustainability means actually harmony. So living in harmony with our environment. Does anybody have any other ideas or questions or comments about some of these pictures or? Yeah, and I've been seeing articles that definitely apply climate change and how there's parallels to it with the coronavirus. And I'm sure more of the stories will be coming out in the future. But it's also a thing that we're all together in.
I just wanted to say it's really cool. We have webcams so that we can see some of this wildlife. That's something we didn't have 50 years ago. So even though I'm kind of a low tech person, I really enjoy the webcams.
Nice. Yeah, I do too. It's a good way to get out and be somewhere else out of your house for a little bit. Okay, so this last slide, when you all think about what you can do at home, whether that's recycling, whether that's composting, whether that's taking shorter showers, saving water, I want you to know that it all makes a difference. Okay, so let me ask you this question. Thinking about watersheds and thinking about you living in watersheds, how many people does it take to make a difference? I see one finger up. Good, good. I love how everybody inherently knows the answer to that question. Yes, it only takes one person to make a difference. And part of my job, I see it as, I kind of envision it as a bucket. And I envision each drop being a positive environmental choice that we all make, and us filling up that bucket. I think lots of people think it doesn't make a difference because it's just them. But my job, I go around all the time and I see people doing good things for the environment. And so, you know, we do these presentations for students. We go around and try to educate folks and build awareness. And so all our drops matter. And even though you may feel like your drop doesn't matter because you're just one person, I'm letting you know that I see those drops adding up. And so, you know, we actually have been interviewing folks who were at the first Earth Day to get their ideas of where we're at now and how, if they expected us to be further along or not. But so on this 50th anniversary, especially for the young folks, like where do you envision us being 50 years from now when it comes to the environment? And if you have that picture, like what can we do to get there? Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay, so I usually, when I end teaching sessions, I typically ask my students to share something that they learned with the person that picks them up or somebody at home. But since we're all at home, you know, maybe share something you learned today with a friend, or maybe on your next Zoom meeting with folks, or share something you learned with somebody who wasn't in the room and didn't get to hear the presentation. But that's also how we're gonna get this to be better, is by sharing our knowledge. All right. So does that make sense for everybody? Nod your head if it does. Okay, thumbs up. Any last questions? Okay. We got a good group today. Well, thank you everybody for being on. We appreciate it. We have other sessions coming up. Hopefully folks can join tomorrow and Friday. But since there's no other questions, we'll leave it at that. And happy Earth Day, everybody. Happy 50th Earth Day. And of course, stay safe and be healthy. Okay. Thanks, everybody.